So now that we have created the aggregated data set, okay, and let's look at the aggregated data set once again. So the aggregated data set has got the title and the age. Now, in essence, the age should be replaced with a column called mean age, or rather, we should rename the age column with the mean age, which brings in the right context here. So what we are going to do is we are going to replace the column names for this particular data set that we have created with the title and mean age. And we are going to do that by using this particular step. And let's execute this particular step. And let's do the head command again. So now we can see that the data frame reflects the right columns, which is the title and the mean age. So now let's look at the source data set again, which is the trained Titanic DS. And as you know that we have already embedded the title as one of the data per point in that particular data frame. Now, our objective is very simple. We want to merge the trained Titanic DS with the aggregated dataset that we have created. And we would want to merge it because we want to have the mean age flowing back into the dataset. And why would you want the mean age to flow into the dataset is to make sure that wherever the age is missing in the trained Titanic DS, we are effectively able to replace that age with the mean age. So the way we are going to do is we are going to use the pd.merge command, which is nothing but a merge utility to merge multiple data frames together. So here the source data frame is the trained Titanic DS. The aggregated data set is nothing but this particular data set that we have created at the last step. And we want to merge by title. And that makes sense because both of these data frames has title as the column, correct? As a common column. Now, what we want to do is we want to replace or we want to kind of create a new column in that particular data set which reflects the mean age as well. So let's execute this particular step now. And let's, now that it has got executed, and let's look at the data set again. And then you can see here that this data set reflects mean age as a new column, which is exactly what we are looking for. Now, as you can see here, Mr. James Morano, Mr. James Moran, a passenger who is traveling by the Titanic, has a missing age value. And what we would want to do here is we want to replace the missing age value with the mean age. And that's exactly what we intend to do in right from the beginning. So let's go and identify all those passengers with the missing age. So here you have a mix of those passengers. Let's just focus on those passengers whose age is missing. Let's go and execute this particular step. Now, this particular step is very simple. Here we are trying to filter out all those passengers whose age is missing using the isNull feature in the data frame. So what we are saying is go and identify those passengers whose age is missing, and let's get a snapshot of those passengers. And as you can see here, we have a snapshot of all those passengers, and all those passengers turned out to be male, the first 6 passengers, and their mean age is 32.3. So let's have a better look of the entire data set instead of focusing only on the head. And let's look at the data set here again. And as you can see here, and let's just look at the data set where the age is missing instead of focusing on all the data points here. And this lists all the passengers whose age is missing, whether it is male, female, or child. The you can see here that here in this case there is a female passenger or the set of female passengers whose age is missing and whose average age is around 21.77. And let's look at some of the other passengers as well. Let's go a little deeper. And as you can see here, these are passengers who are children. Their mean age is around 4.57. So as you can see here, for every passenger, there is a title, and for each title there is an average age that we have computed. So for Mr., the average age is around 32.36. Now, as a next step, what we want to do is we want to go and replace all those passengers whose age is missing with the mean age, and that makes sense. So what we are going to do here is we are going to create a new step here, and then we are going to execute the next command. Okay, in this case, we need to identify those rows where the age of the passenger is missing, and this is exactly done by the lock feature in the pandas data frame. So what we are trying to do here is we are going to identify those rows where age is missing. And in this case, the condition is very simple. We want to identify those passengers whose age is missing, and we want to get a snapshot of that particular age, which is on the left hand side. On the right hand side, what we want to merely do is we want to identify those passengers and have their mean age being reflected. So let's execute this particular step here. And as you can see here, it identifies all the row numbers where the age is missing, and rightfully the age is missing here. So let's replace this with the mean age for the time being, correct? And there you can see for every row of that particular passenger, correct? For every passenger in that particular row, either the row number 2, row number 6, row number 12, it also identifies the mean age that we want to replace. So essentially, what we want to do is we want to replace all the missing values with the mean age. So as you can see here, the next step is quite obvious. Let's copy this particular command. Let's paste it on the right hand side, and then let's compute mean age. And that's it, and let's execute that particular command. And once we execute this particular command, let's go and search for those passengers whose age is missing. And there you go. You do not find any passengers whose age is missing because we have plugged in those passengers with the mean age. So let's go and reopen the experiment that we had created earlier. So in this particular execute Python script, while we have a simple boilerplate code which sends the data frame 1 as an input and passes the data frame 1 as an output, and essentially we are not modifying any parts of that particular data. Now what we are going to do is we're going to come back to the notebook. We are going to identify the right first statement that we need to plug in into the execute Python script, which is nothing but the split command. So what we want to do is we want to create uh, a title in the data point called train Titanic DS, and this is exactly the statement that we are going to copy paste into the execute Python script. And then let's do that first. So this, we have already seen how it works. Now we see here that the data frame 1 is passed as an input, whereas we have not referenced data frame 1 in our step. So what we are essentially going to do is we're going to replace the data frame 1, or we're going to replace the train Titanic DS as the data frame 1. Okay, because we're going to send in the input data frame 1, and we're going to act on that input. We're going to add title to that particular data set, and then we are going to pass back the data frame 1 as an output. And essentially what we want to do is once we have done with the modification, which is the addition of title to the data set, we are going to pass it back as an input to data frame 1, and then we are going to return the data frame 1, which essentially is nothing but addition of this particular title. Now let's execute this particular step. Let's see what happens. So as we are executing this step, the data frame 1, which is the train Titanic DS or the Titanic train, is passed as an input into that particular step, and the modification happens. And once the data is modified, it is passed as an output. Right? So let's just wait for this particular step to run. It's probably going to take a couple of seconds. and then we should be able to see the results. So as you can see here, there is an error, and let's identify what the error is by clicking on the error button here. And as you can see here, that the error, there's something called the key error is name. So let's go and identify if our select columns data set has a name component to it, and hence it is giving out an error. So let's just change the workflow. What we will do is we'll pass in the train Titanic, the Titanic train input into the execute Python script, and then we are going to pass the output of execute Python script back into the select columns in the data set, and then we are going to pass the output of the select columns in the data set the clean missing data, and that works out just fine because we don't want to include name as part of that particular select columns, but we want to include title. So but we'll wait for that. So let's first execute this particular step just to make sure that everything works in order. So we don't have to run the entire workflow. We could have just run that particular step to validate if that step executes at all. A couple of more seconds, and as you can see, the execute Python script has already executed. And let's look at the execute Python script output. And as you can see here, the title has been added into that particular data set. And essentially, this is exactly what we are looking for. And that's the first step. So first we would like to add the title, and then we would add the rest of the steps, which is figuring out how to add the mean age, and then computing the mean age, and then replacing the passengers with missing age values with the mean age.